All right. All right. Let's try to do this now and see if this is going to work. Inshallah, we can go back live and check this out. So we are back. Sorry, we had a little technical difficulty. So let's let everybody join back in for the live stream. Hopefully, this should be a more organized live stream. I don't know. But this should be better. I don't know. Let me know how this works. I think the quality should be a lot clearer now. I'm gonna go ahead and just peep at my own YouTube and see if that makes a difference. Because I know when I was looking at the YouTube feed, it was a bit choppy. It was a bit what do you call you know grainy and stuff. Yeah, I think this is much better. Okay. All right. Okay. Salam alaikum. We used to work together. Okay. Wa alaikum Arfan. Welcome. Where did we work together? Um, let me see if this works. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see that. That should be good. I don't know if this is working or not, but I think it'll be a good opportunity for this to work. Alaikum assalam, Abdu Yahya. Welcome to the live stream, brother. Good to see you. Okay, let me see here. Okay. All right. All right. Alhamdulillah. Abbas, Omar, Rota. Oh, Arfan. Okay. Of course I remember you. Why wouldn't I remember you, man? Come on. Of course I remember you. All right. Good to have you, man. I didn't realize that you were in the tech. If I known it was you, I would have given you a shout out a long time ago, brother, man. Good friend of mine in the text, the old co-worker of mine. Welcome Arfan to the live stream. Anyway, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everyone. We're gonna let people join into the live stream, and we will start talking about a couple of things that we were doing over the week while I was here. All right, all cool kids science channel. We appreciate the feedback there. That is great. So let me see if I can center myself a little bit more. I think for some reason I'm off. There we go. Okay, now I'm in the center. I can see you guys. You can see me. So the topic today, well, so I've been doing a bunch of videos, like on refutation videos of like some of these Christian apologists that have been, just basically making videos about Islam. And so I've been dealing with some of these individuals like the apostate prophet. There's a guy named Introverted Smiles. Apparently he used to be a Salafi and then he left. It became too much for him. And then there is also the what do you call who else? David Wood and Al-Fadi. I have some videos coming up. There's a guy named Al-Fadi, and apparently he essentially, is claiming to be a Saudi who left Islam and now he's doing this stuff. So I'm going to do a couple more videos. I got stuff coming out. Right now with the COVID lockdown, I've had all this time to do videos, and so it's great. Let me see here. Let's see some of the comments here. Islam, the guy who supposedly left Islam, it was made up. Farid exposed one in a video. I'll send you a link on Twitter. Is that the guy Afzal or whatever they said? The guy Afzal? Is that the one? Is that the one? Alaikum assalam, Abdu Yahya. Welcome to the live stream. Good to have you guys. We're also live on Facebook, I believe. But anywho, this is good. I'm glad that we have everybody here already. So what I'm gonna do is I think what I'm gonna do is I am gonna do something different today. I am going to put the link to the live stream. So if anybody has a question or wants to jump on, hold on. Question or discussion. Let's do that one. Discussion. And then we'll put join in. And I don't know if you guys can see that or not. That should be available on, I think, Facebook and also YouTube. So if you guys can see that link, let me know. Let me see if it pops up in the chat, because I can see it this way. No, did it pop up? I don't think it did. We'll have to see. I don't know. Let's check it out later. Oh, you see it? Okay, perfect. Awesome. Wonderful. That's great. So we will use that. Okay. All right. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I know a lot of people have been talking about the Muhammad hijab controversy and how he's behaving with some of these apostates, like apostate prophet. You purchased a subscription to StreamYard. Yes, I did. Because it's better for me. I get to put my logo on. And I do it for other things as well too. So I do use the paid model for it because I hate watermarks. It's a pet peeve of mine. I don't want to see somebody else's watermark on my content. So I chose to pay for it. But going right along, if there are you guys are watching the drama that's happening, people are talking about Muhammad hijab, right? And I'm not saying he's a perfect human being, but they're criticizing him for attacking the apostate prophet and attacking what he's doing in terms of his family, or maybe his wife, not even his family, just his wife, right? And that seems to be bothering a lot of people. And I don't know why that would bother people. I mean, the apostate prophet has no problem attacking Islam, Muslims, attacking the honor of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No problem making sexual references towards Muslimat on YouTube. I mean, or just in general, he live streams with David Wood, who also does this kind of stuff. So what is the issue? I mean, Muhammad hijab is pointing out an example of freedom of speech, right? Meaning, if you're willing to insult the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then would you like it if your wife was insulted? And by the way, some people are trying to say that his wife is innocent and a bystander. I disagree. I think his wife has been someone that has been openly attacking Islam and making comments towards the Prophet, so she's fair game. It's not like he dug up the info on her and then decided, you know what, we're gonna go and attack his wife now just because she's, we want to hurt him. No, she's part of the problem. She's part of this, focused attack that they're doing on the Muslims, and so it's just a demonstration of freedom of speech. Mm-hmm. All right, let's see. Cool Kid says, LOL, all Muslim content creators are using StreamYard. Yes, I guess maybe why it's funny. I guess maybe that's why, maybe that's, yeah, is my audio quality, is it out of sync with the video? I don't know. Maybe that might be the issue. I don't know. If it's out of sync, then let me do something else. I think you see hijab very clear. No, I have not seen this video yet. I have not seen this yet. I got a notice on my WhatsApp from a good friend of mine. Audio is great and in sync. Okay. All right. So whoever is sending me a WhatsApp message, you may need to reload. I think there was a little bit of a lag perhaps, but I think that the link or the audio should be fine. I don't know. There could be. I don't know. Sorry, guys. I'm trying something else today. So let me just give you the backdrop why this is so difficult for me, because I'm using OBS along with StreamYard, so there's like an extra layer on top of it, so maybe that's why. I think I can tell there is a slight lag. I can see it now. So let me just do something. I am going to quickly switch this screen, okay, and shut this down. And then I'm going to do this. Give me a second, guys. I'm going to actually use the regular cam link and see if it works. Okay, this should be a lot more in sync now. Sorry, guys. Okay, no, I think we're going to be good now. This should be good. All right, yes, welcome, Caliph, by the way. Welcome, Caliph. Good to have you on the live stream. I saw your recent video and I thought it was phenomenal. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. The content is getting better and better. But the reason I've been doing this is because I think that, unfortunately, a lot of the Christian apologists have now been allying with atheists, right? And they're poking into holes of what they're doing is they're digging deeper into Islam than the general average common Muslim would. Like most of us don't need to dig into the shubahat, like into things that are what we would call scholarly, right? Because, it's kind of like diving into something that is an advanced topic before learning the fundamentals. But unfortunately, we kind of had to do that, right? We're kind of being thrown into this pit. And what do I mean by that? Well, like normally we wouldn't really have to worry about these things, but since now the non-Muslims are using this to make you question your faith, now what we're seeing is a lot of regular people who may not have necessarily even cared about this are now essentially having to research it, and they don't have the guideline, like the parameters to follow. They're just kind of Googling and then reading a bit of this and a bit of that. And then they're trying to put it together and they're issuing responses and videos. And I'm not saying this is Muhammad Hijab or anybody else. I'm just saying that this is common for anything. This even happens in people who are trying to defend Christianity or Judaism. People get riled up, they get defensive, and they want to say, you know what? I want to defend my religion, so I'm going to be overzealous here. I'm going to go out and I'm going to just get all the information and put it out there. And they may not know what is authentic and what is not, and they may not know the actual narrative. So unfortunately, they are taking advantage of that situation. And keep in mind, like there are certain scholars in Islam, I believe, who could have done a better job of explaining something rather than just saying, oh, you know what, forget about it. You know what I mean? Like that to me was a little bit of a little bit irresponsible, but I still think that that there's not a lot they can do because these concepts require a certain type of understanding, and if you don't have an understanding, it's hard to summarize these topics in an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. They require a deeper level of study. And so what they're doing is, I'm not saying that the non-Muslims or the ones who are criticizing have this deep level of understanding. It's just that they're using the arguments that other people have brought in academia, and they are presenting them in a way that looks very suspect, right? They're saying, okay, well, look, you know what? Is your Quran really preserved? Or, are the hadith really real? Or, now we're hearing things like, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not a real person. You have another fool who thinks that Mecca is actually Petra. It's not even Mecca. These are ideas that are brought out. These are theories, right? And so we always have been being challenged with these things. And these are not new, by the way. Many of these things are from the Orientalists, from the 19th century, from the mid to late 1800s, where they were encountering Islam for the first time, and they were trying to bring that into the field of academics and trying to approach it from an academic lens. So many of them were not even haters of Islam. They were just trying to give their Orientalist perspective on Islam, and it's not necessarily a fact. It's just their opinion and their conjecture, but yet academia sometimes will treat it as a fact and as a valid opinion. Or for us, we don't really, hold it that way, and we operate from different mindsets, right? The academic mindset versus the mindset of a believer are two different things. The academic will be skeptical about everything. I mean, in academia, you're taught to be that way. You're trained to be that way. You're trained not to trust anybody. You're trained not to just take things at face value, or even from a one-hand account or first person account in like a single narration or whatever. They won't take that. So it's a very different realm, and I understand the complexities behind it, but I think that Muslims need to be a little bit more careful on how they present their arguments. Let me see here, Cal. Regular Muslim now first introduced to Shibahat before they learn fundamental. Yes, exactly. And sometimes, Caliph, I'll be honest, is that sometimes it helps some people. For some people, they begin researching the matter. It makes them grow strong in their deen. And for some other people, it makes them, leave their religion. And it's a sad thing, but I think it's a learning curve for the ummah. If you want, basically what I think it is, like, if you're going to be out there making dawah, if you're going to be out there presenting Islam, you must be ready to answer questions, the important questions. It's not so much now just believe in one God or this. They really want to know, is what you're saying, does it hold up? Does it hold water? Is it a valid claim? And you have to be ready to understand these issues. So the way I see this going is that dawah is not really going to be a very simple thing where you're calling people to la ilaha illallah, right? You're going to have to understand, because people, as they understand more about Islam and as they understand more about, our traditions, they're going to have deeper questions, and that requires a deeper level of understanding. So I guess what I'm saying is that if you want to be a da'i and you want to be out there giving da'wah and telling people to do things, you should be prepared. You should have knowledge of these things and study them before you go out and invite others to it. It might have to be a prerequisite now. And I have no problem with that. I don't think that we have anything to hide in Islam. I don't think we're ashamed of anything. I mean, if you want to compare the three Abrahamic texts that we have, the Quran is the oldest. I mean, I'm not saying in terms of, when it was revealed, but in terms of preservation. If you look at the Quran, the earliest Quran that we have, I think the manuscript I'm talking about, complete, is from the 8th century, I believe. Okay. The earliest Khamush, which is the 5 books of the Torah, those are from the 9th or 10th century. And the Bible, the earliest complete form of the Bible, not the fragments. I'm talking about a complete Bible form. That is not from until anywhere from, they date it from the 10th to 12th century, anywhere in between there. Right. So when you look at the Quran, you understand that there's a certain superiority in the preservation of the Quran compared to the other books. I recently did a video to Jay Smith and Al-Fadi. It has not been released yet, but I will be releasing that very soon. And I challenge Al-Fadi. Al-Fadi makes, how many of you have heard this argument that that the Quran takes stories from the Talmud? Like, it takes stories from, for example, the second Targum of Esther, right? These arguments they make. Well, the problem is that they try to attribute these things to like the 2nd century, but the second Targum of Esther is not from the 2nd century. It's more from the 8th century or 7th. I think it's the end of the 7th century and beginning of the 8th century. So what does that mean? That would mean that after the death of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is when this text was compiled according to Jewish sources. So how could have Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam copied this from the second Targum of Esther? It would not make any sense. But the problem is that they're using very minority opinions stating that it is from the 2nd century. But in fact, almost all sources are unanimous that it had to be after the 8th century. Some people even date it to the 11th. But this is the type of game that they play, and you have to be prepared to know these things if you're going to argue with them on these things. But you know, but so anyways, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some of the other comments here and then see what's going on. Wa alaikum assalam, Sabir Ahmed, welcome. Testimony is not valued today. This is true. Unfortunately, the word of a individual was valued at, I mean, was gold. I mean, think about this for a moment. Even during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the pagan, the mushrik, his voice, I mean, his word was considered to be valuable, right? It was something that even a Muslim would take and say, listen, okay, he's telling the truth. They wouldn't lie about it, right? And if you did lie about it, that was it. Like, you were never to be taken serious again. And look at it now. I mean, we've got all kinds of politicians, right? Like, I mean, just look at Donald Trump, for example, or look at any politician, Republican, Democrat, right wing, left wing. They lie constantly to your face, and people engage them, people encourage them, people support them, right? It's as if words have no meaning. And that's part of the reason why I think in Islamic tradition, the concept of ilm al-rijal is so important, right? Because the character of an individual, not just his words, but how he behaved. Was he an upright individual? Did he have good memory? Was he able to retain this memory? Did he have, what was his family life like? What was his business life like? All of these things are a glimpse into the type of person that that this individual would have been, and that's important in determining if somebody is trustworthy or not. Let me see. What was Dr. Yasir Qadi trying to say while talking about the Quran? Well, to be honest, he was saying what we've already known. What he's saying is that the narrative that most Muslims understand is the Quran is 100% the same from the beginning till now. And what he's saying is essentially that's true, but there have been, for example, in the time of Uthman radiallahu anh, they burned other copies of the Mus'haf because they were not a standard reading. And why did they need standard readings? Because as Islam grew, people began mixing different qira'ah and aruf of the Quran together, and they began to cause confusion. What is the way to recite it? What is the way not to do it? And so therefore, he standardized the Mus'haf. Most people don't know the fact that Uthman radiallahu anh, he burned the different or the Mus'haf, and he sent 4 Mus'hafs to different parts of the Muslim world to standardize it. While some of these regions retained the original Mus'haf with the riwayah, meaning that the chain of transmission, and that's how we preserve them, like Warsh, Qanun. I mean, many of these different qira'ah of the Quran, we have them today because the scholars in those areas preserved them and they were memorized in that fashion. But does that change? I mean, it's a deeper, we can go into why and how, and I don't want to go into that here, but there is plenty of reasoning for that in terms of when you look in the scholarship. However, I think what he's trying to say is that the idea that the idea that the Quran is unchanged is still valid. It's still what the sum of it, the culmination of all of this academic discussion and research all leads to the end, the same point. The Quran is unchanged, and it is the Kalam Allah. It is the word of Allah. So that's why the narrative fits, right? That, okay, this is unchanged. We believe that. But how the circumstances around the Quran, the physical Mus'haf that you have today, and things like that, that stuff may cause confusion for some people who don't know, right? So that's what I believe. Oh, my boy Mahin is here. Assalamu alaikum. Mahin, what, you got a haircut looking fresh? My nephew gave me this haircut. I mean, it's not even I did it. He said, do you need a haircut? I said, okay, do it. I gave him $20 on the side and he did it. He's trying to cut hair. So if any of you guys are in Chicago, you want a haircut and you want to fade, let me know. My little 13-year-old will do that for you guys. All right. Let me know. I'll get him to put the work in. All right. Why did Fareed? You're gonna have to ask Fareed blackmail. I don't know. You're gonna have to ask him yourself. We are not accountable for other people, so I don't get involved in that kind of drama. You're gonna have to ask him on a live stream. I respect the brother. I respect different, everybody on their own merit. And I'm not going to get involved with what that may have been. It could have been a misunderstanding, Allahu Alam, but we assume the best of our brothers, regardless of who they are. Whether they be Yasir Qadi, whether they be even, let's be honest, even Mufti Abu Layth, right? We even though I'm not a fan of the guy, but you must assume good of your brothers, right? Let's not get involved in the ghiba and namima, and I think we need to elevate above that, right? We got a lot of other issues externally to the Muslims right now, and that to me is not my concern, if you can get my drift. So I appreciate the question, but I'm the wrong guy to answer. I'm no one famous, and I'm no one authoritative on that issue. Let's see this here. Let's read 2 Chronicles 22. Isaiah was 42 years old when he became king, and he reigned over 1 year in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Athaliah, granddaughter of Omri. New King James Version. Isaiah was 22 years old when he became king. He reigned in Jerusalem 1 year. His name was I don't know what thank you for that posting that. I'm not sure what that has to do with what we're talking about, but thank you for posting that. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Jay Perez, good to have you. This is my Puerto Rican brother. Que bueno, que tal. People always confuse me for being Puerto Rican, so I have a special relationship with Jay Perez. I feel like that even though I'm not Puerto Rican, we have some, affinity to each other because of similarities. Because I can appreciate the the struggle, Anyways, so anything else on your mind? Oh, by the way, guys, if you guys do want to join and have a comment, and you guys have anything to say specifically to me, and you want to jump in on the live stream, there's the link right there, and you guys will be able to join in. Terror Squad, yeah, I think the problem is, Jay Perez, we can't say that now, I mean, that would be a no-no, right? Maybe back in the early 90s, it might have been something, late 90s, I mean. Those big pun days. But anyways, why did Imam Malik? Okay, so blackmail, maybe you got me confused with a different channel, my friend. I am not a scholar. Maybe one day I could bring Sheikh Amir on the podcast, and you guys can ask him questions like that. Maybe we can have a session with the Sheikh. I'm a layman just like you, my friend. Blackmail. I just have a big mouth and a camera. So I am just like you. I have no more knowledge than you do. So you're gonna have to ask the people of knowledge, inshallah. Okay. But anyways, yeah, inshallah, one day, maybe I'll get him on one day. He's always busy. I hate to bother him because we call him His Holiness because he is a very busy guy, but he's a wonderful human being. And we do tease him a little bit, but he is absolutely wonderful to have on. So maybe one day we'll get him. Anyways, guys, what are the other things you want to talk about? Oh, real quick as well, too. Guys, I started a Patreon. I am not begging here. I'm not doing a shameless plug, but I did start a Patreon, and it is Muzzy Buzz. There are different tiers on there. You can go check it out, patreon.com/MuzzyBuzz, and you can go check it out. I think it's like $1 or $2.99 and $3 or $4.99, and different tiers have different things. You get like access to different things, so you can go check it out, and I will be posting on there different things as well too. So make sure you check that out as well too. I also have a poll on there right now, which is it's an open one, it's a public one, and it's going to be about it's basically asking you guys what kind of video should I make next. Do I have a sheep? What kind? I don't know. I don't have a sheep. I think the last sheep I had 8 pages of the Bible. But I got rid of it because of that. So I don't know. I mean, I just had to get rid of it. So we don't have that anymore. Unfortunately, we got rid of it. But thank you, Master Number. That was a very good question. So anyways, anybody that wants to jump into the live, I swear to God, YouTube has the funniest people. That's why I wanted to go live. I enjoy this stuff. I enjoy it. Speaking of the 90s, thoughts of incident of the sports pundit saying a slur when the mic was hot. don't follow that person, but made me think yes, of course. The cancel culture today is wild, Jay Perez. I mean, look, I'm not for racism. I'm not for being intentionally offensive, right? I don't like that. But let's be honest for a moment, right? What is offensive, man? Like, everything can become considerably offensive depending on who makes it offensive, right? Like, how dare you do this? How dare you say that? I'm appalled. I mean, everything can become blown out of proportion. Everything can become a hashtag movement, right? And that's the problem, right? Like, why, it's okay to call somebody out. I have no problem with that. But why completely eradicate or erase all of the good they may have done or any contribution they may have offered to you? I don't agree with that methodology. I think that it's counterproductive. It's actually going to create resentment and create a counterculture of people who will now say, screw the system, forget political correctness. For example, the Trump culture, right? They got tired of being told that everything is, homophobic, Islamophobic, or everything is, right-wing propaganda. I mean, they just got tired. And I'm not saying some of it is not. Of course it is, but some of it is, and some of it is not, right? That's just the reality of the situation. The more you try to repeat them, stop them, the more they're going to repeat it, right? And that's the issue, right? They want to be able to express themselves. The problem is that rather than trying to cancel them completely, I think the better option is to create a counter narrative, to invite them, to bring them on, or to even issue public statements, to issue content or to make content like this, so that you create that opposition, you create that alternative to what they're saying. And in turn, they become less and less popular and they ended up dying out, right? 1 a.m. here in India. Wow, very nice. Very nice. Thank you for joining from India. Where are you in India? Hold on. Stop supporting China. I don't know exactly how I support China. I think this mic is from China, though. It's called a Fine mic. So I think I got it off Amazon. So I think it's from China. But yeah, I also don't get the need for an immediate apology. It's obvious it's not going to be sincere, which is why people... Yes, exactly. Absolutely. I agree that issuing these apologies when forced to do so is not a genuine apology. They have to genuinely feel where they're coming from and say, you know what? I was wrong, right? I was wrong, and you got to come back and you got to... I was wrong and I need to repent for that or retract that. And that's fine. If they don't feel that way, oh, well, you don't have to watch them. You don't have to, you can issue content addressing that issue. You can issue op-eds, whatever. There are many different avenues you can use besides just canceling them out. Okay, so Blackmail says, okay, no, I didn't mean to be offensive to you, bro. You think, oh, if my Muslim mother had a farm. Okay, well, I'm sorry, Master Number. No problem. Well, no, I don't have a farm, my friend. I live in a place that doesn't have any farms. I live in a city. Right now, I'm in Chicago now, so I'm about 20 minutes outside the city. So it's all suburban and there's no area for farmland. I'd have to drive, I think, like an hour or two to get to a farm, if I wanted to. So no farms here, my friend. Okay, we have somebody that is going to jump on. We have a guest here want to jump on. Let me try to bring him in. I think it's I lost him. I was trying to bring him on. Whoever that was, Naim. I think it was Naim that was here. Try to jump back in if you were here. Sorry I missed you. I didn't see you. Please jump back in the stream and I'll make sure I get you added in. From Bihar, that is up north, right? Blackmail. Yeah, my mother and the family, they come from Hyderabad. Like, they settled over there, so that's down in the central south, I think. Yeah, somewhere. I've never been there, so I hope to one day travel to India and to see the landscape and stuff like that. I hope to. There's wonderful scenery and history and architecture in India, and hopefully one day By the way, just take a moment, since we're talking about that, take a moment to make a sincere dua for the Muslims of India, that Allah alleviate their stress and their the pain that they may be suffering in certain areas because of this fascist government that is, obviously turning a blind eye to the oppression of minorities, not only Muslims but also Christians and other, I think, minority Hindu sects or whatever they may be. So make sure you take a moment to do that. And also, since we're saying that, the Uyghurs and the Kashmiris and the Yemenis and the Syrians and so forth. And by the way, my cousin is out there in Syria now. Go over to Islamic Oasis. They are collecting blankets for the Syrian people in the winter time. You can go out and donate to Islamic Oasis and make sure they get blankets. I think they're trying to deliver a bunch of blankets to them so they can be prepared for the winter, because Syria is a lot like the Western countries in terms of it's not like a warm climate all year round. So there is a winter season. It gets very cold and they're intense. And so they're also sleeping on the ground, which makes it very, very, very cold. So consider donating to that before you become a Patreon member, which you all should. Anyways, okay, Naeem is back. Let's bring him in. All right, Salaam alaikum, Naeem or Naeem? I think.
Wa alaikum assalam. It's Naeem.
Naeem. Okay, all right. Salaam alaikum. Welcome. Where are you from, brother?
From the UK.
From the UK. All right. What's going on, bro? Talk to me. What can we talk about?
Well, actually, I saw this as an open invitation. I thought it would be interesting to talk about this new phenomenon that I'm seeing, where ex-Muslims and Christians seem to be uniting. Atheist ex-Muslims, I should specify. They seem to be uniting against Islam. I just find that very, very interesting. And in a way, it strengthens my iman, because that, they have to join forces now. Because the ex-Muslims and the atheists that I know, they wouldn't be favorable over Islam or Christianity, if you know what I mean. They're both false religions to them. So it's just amazing.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I did a video just actually released last night about this and how Christian apologists have broken Christianity. No longer are they calling for us to believe in a Trinity or anything like that. What they're doing is they just want us to be ex-Muslims. They will be satisfied with us being ex-Muslims and not us, and basically not believing, because they have this twisted delusion that, well, if they leave Islam, then eventually we can bring them back to Christ, but even if they're atheists. Like, it's just the stupidest argument. Like, the idea, you're absolutely 100% right. And I'm glad that many more people are recognizing this, because what it shows me is that Christianity, the doctrine, the theology of Christianity as it stands by itself, is not convincing enough for a Muslim to leave Islam. Like, there's no trade-off here. We're not going to leave, Tawheed for paganism, for shirk. It's not going to work. So what's the alternative? Well, just give them shubha, insult them, and ally with the Hindus. By the way, there's Hindus as well too. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but many of the people who support ex-Muslims and Christian apologists like this are Hindu people. They are, and they're very adamant about attacking Muslims for some reason. I'm not saying all Hindus, by the way. It's I think among them, among their supporters, there's a lot of Hindus. So it's very weird. I don't know why that is, but I'm glad you observed that. I've noticed that, and I made a video about that. Check it out. It is, if I can link it, I don't know. Let me see if I can go get it from YouTube. I forgot even the title. Sorry, guys. I put out so much stuff here. But anyways, yeah, good point, Naeem. Anything else that you noticed interesting?
Yeah, it just left me. It was about the same topic. Oh yeah, the fact that Christians these days are trying to get Muslims to leave Islam, I think even from a Christian point of view, it's not a good idea for them, because I think you'll find that Christian values and Muslim values are very similar. And if you're trying to get Muslims to move away from God and Islam, well, you're pushing Muslims to an ideal which is more secular rather than something founded in God. So I think it would be better for Christians and Muslims if we were if we were friends and we were allies rather than, trying to fight each other like this, which, is
Uh,
of, the
yeah,
likes of David Wood, they're
no,
really
you're
trying to push.
absolutely right. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. By the way, here is the link to the video I just released earlier today. This is about, it's called "Popular Christian Apologists Have Broken Christianity." So as far as this, the idea, now we as Muslims, right, we understand that our values, the core values of the Abrahamic faith, are generally similar, right? We get that, right? Like, I mean, but the problem is these hardcore right-wing evangelicals who, their religion is not really Christianity, my brother. Their religion is hatred of anybody that's opposite. They can claim they love, they can claim Jesus this, Jesus that. We love our enemies, we love the Muslims, we hate Islam. But look at the venom they spew out. Look at Christian Prince. Look at David Wood. Look at Sam. I've been debating these kinds of people for over 2 decades. Literally, I'm not lying to you. From Pal Talk to Stickham to many different online profiles. I used to have an original YouTube channel. I deleted a long time ago before YouTube was even monetized. These people have a culture of hate, my brother. They can't stand that you are not what they are, and they will do whatever it takes to take you out of the fold. The thing is, here's the thing: these people do not believe that Allah and the God they believe in are the same. They believe that they are worshiping the God of Abraham, and we're worshiping, astaghfirullah, a moon god. They really believe this stuff. They don't see it the way we know it. We say, listen, we say in the Quran, Rabbuna wa Rabbukum wahid, right? We believe that your Lord and our Lord are one. That we have no issue with that, but they don't want to accept that. Do you understand where they're coming from?
Yeah, no, I get that. What do you
Yeah.
think? Do you think it's a very prominent issue today? Do you think too many Christians are falling for this kind of rhetoric?
So I'm not sure about the UK in the world, but in America, absolutely. Evangelical Christianity
Oh,
has dominated the U.S. landscape. It dominates politics. It dominates foreign policy. It dominates race relations. So many different things. There is this birth of this idea of that, we are the saviors. We must bring people to Christ. Everybody else is of the devil. We must support Israel so that the second coming of Jesus comes back. Everything revolves around this dominant, even though they claim to be, passive, but they're passive aggressive. Everything is about their dominance, right? So it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that it's an undertone. But I mean, do I think it's a world problem? No. I mean, there are plenty. If I've met many Orthodox, I'm friends with a lot of Orthodox Christians, and they agree with us. They agree. They agree a whole heart. They don't even consider people like evangelicals to be true Christians, right? They're like, these people are the lunatics, and they don't really. But the problem is Orthodoxy is a minority, right? In terms of influence. There's a Roman Catholic and stuff like that, and they still have a significant influence, but they tend to be, on both sides. They're kind of neutral in a lot of things. But so I can't really say if it's if it's a major problem or not. But in America, it's an issue. What's that? Welcome, by the way. We just have Andalusian Project with us. Salam alaikum. You're wrong, but yeah, gay people rule everything. But I mean, the thing is that in terms of a Muslim, they don't really affect us too much. You know what I mean? But anyways, all right, brother Naeem. Naeem, do you have any other comments or anything else you want to make?
um, no, not really. I think, yeah, no, that's really all I wanted to comment there. Thanks for having me, though.
All right, Jazakumullah khair for coming on. We'll see you next time. Feel free to call anytime. All right.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you. Yeah, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. Okay, so anyone that wants to join in, remember I'm going to give you the live link here. You guys can jump in. Make sure you guys have something at hand to talk about because we don't want to waste the time of our precious viewers. Anyways, I'm just kidding. Evangelicals. Okay, yeah, I mean, it is what it is, but alaikum salam. So let me see what Jay Perez says here. So what do you think about the William Lane Craig? It seems he's becoming more ill towards Islam. Muslims never personally seen him as an ally, but it seems more. To be honest, I call me skeptical, right? But to be honest, I really only trust my fellow Muslims. I believe everybody has a motive, right? And that is not something that we shy away from. I'm not saying I have to be mean to somebody or I have to be rude to somebody, but I know that everybody has a motive, right? Everybody has an objective. And my question is always, what is their objective in trying to ally with a Muslim? What are they trying to achieve? And so what I'm saying in summary, if they were to come out with something Islamophobic or something that was insulting to the Muslims, would I be surprised? Absolutely not. I would rather in turn tell the Muslims, do not put these people on a pedestal, right? Do not, put them on a pedestal and exalt them, because they are not, at the end of the day, we don't have the same objective, right? My co-host, Imran Munir is here. Sim is here. You have nice skin to use your moisturizer. It's just the camera lens. I'm very ugly, but it's just great cameras. So, okay, but thank you for the comment. Okay, we have another guest here who wants to join in. Let me add Tupac Shakur. He's back from the dead. Tupac Shakur, salamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Hello, can you hear me?
How are you, brother? How can I help you? What do you want to talk about?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to ask you about your opinion on the sort of liberal Muslim movement and as well as the cultural Muslims, that sort of rising trend.
Yeah.
And in your thoughts and maybe solutions of how to improve this, and maybe in raising children as well. I know you have.
Yeah.
How can we kind of protect them from this mindset?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. It's a good question. By the way, I just want to thank Tupac for coming back from the dead to ask me this question. I feel honored that Tupac rose from the dead to come back and ask me. I'm just joking around here, but no, it's a serious question though, about liberalism. Now, look, here's what I want to say real quick. A lot of times, there's a conversation now about being liberal, right, and saying, oh, these liberal guys, and I just want people to understand one key difference. There are liberal aspects of true liberalism, like actual real liberalism, like liberal ideologies within that we are okay with, right, as Muslims. But liberalism as it stands in the modern context of today, like with the way the movement is moving, it has a positive and a negative. And I feel like the negative effect of that is overriding the positive. In terms of our own community. I think the issue here is people are torn because we are a minority in a country and we don't have many allies, and people are trying to, survive, right? They want to be able to live and be able to work and to have a normal, peaceful life without having to be harassed. And so they see natural allies in, people who are willing to accept them. The problem comes though, is that acceptance does not come unconditionally, right? The left has a motive behind it, just like the right does too. I'm not saying the right is any better. Everybody has a motive. Right. And what I'm saying is question the motive that the left is using. There is a huge, I guess, a factor, which is identity politics. If you're going to align with the left, understand they're going to play identity politics, and they're going to say, you know what, if you are, a Muslim, an Arab, or Pakistani, or black, and whatever, or you're straight or gay, or whatever it is, you have different boxes you can check off. And each of these boxes you check off puts you into a category. And that category then, by extension, gives you a set of preset arguments. Oh, I have to complain about this. I have to complain about that. I have to be against this. I have to be pro this and anti that. And that's the problem I feel like we're falling into, right? That we have our own values as Muslims, right? We can work within the framework. We don't need to adjust to them. We can make them adjust to us, right? It's time that we think of ourselves as independent entities that have our own agenda. We can we can value certain principles that the left has and value certain principles the right has. But the point being is that we have our own platform. And if we continue this trend of going down this extreme left or extreme right, we're going to lose our children completely, right? Either, I mean, the left, I feel, has been a little bit more dangerous for families because the influence they have in academia and in education. They're teaching people that certain things are okay, like, transgenderism or homosexuality or, things like that, like, or drug use, for example, like, for marijuana, legalization of marijuana, or pro-abortion, in terms of like pro-choice, and here's the thing. Islam doesn't necessarily is not against all these things, but we have our boundaries, right? What do I mean by that? Like, for example, do I have to say I'm against marijuana completely? Well, let's look at the Islamic framework. If marijuana is used for medicinal purposes, then it's okay for us, right? The ulama have said you can use it, and because it has a purpose. But again, this is within the boundary, right? We don't need to endorse it and say it's for recreational use, it's for any use, it's God's, creation from the earth, we can use it. These are arguments the left will make, right? Likewise with abortion, right? In abortion, we have specific cases in which it is allowed. We're not all anti-abortion, meaning that in a sense that we understand there are circumstances in which this is allowed, and we accept that as Muslims. But this narrative doesn't fit in either category, right? The left wants you to be completely pro-choice, and the right wants you to be completely anti-abortion, like no case at all, right? And so we as Muslims need to take that narrative back and for ourselves, and not let other people dictate that to us. Does that answer, Tupac? I don't know if that helps
thank you. Yeah, I was just also going to ask. Yeah, so you've addressed one sort of side of the issue, and the other one was for kids growing up in the West. What can parents do to, obviously you don't want to go. I mean, not everyone wants to go full Daniel Hakikachu and go homeschooling, but
Yeah.
at the same time, you don't want any sort of that kind of indoctrination from your kids. So what's a good thing that if you have like two working parents in a household, what's a good way to ensure that your child isn't really picking up any false values that can contradict ours?
Yeah, I mean, I would say this as an advice. I would say this, and I think a lot of people forget this. Parenting is a full-time job, and I think that you are the example for your child, right? If your children don't see you living the lifestyle you're asking them to live, they're not going to do it. Children are very smart, and they're very intuitive. And they will pick up on the contradictions, right? They will not be afraid to ask you questions about that. For example, if you're a smoker and you tell your child that smoking is bad and he sees you smoking, he's going to say, but why are you doing it? And you can't explain to him why. Kids are intuitive like that. So what I'm saying is that how do you make an environment for them to retain their identity? Well, I believe a lot of that has to do with communication. It has to do with educating them about who they are and why they are who they are, right? Meaning that a lot of times when we grew up, we were just told, believe this, believe that, do this, do that, right? And there was no reason behind it. There was no understanding. There was no compassion or empathy behind it. And I think in an age now where media and information is available at your fingertips, children are becoming exposed to a whole lot more at an earlier age. And that means we have a lot more to do in terms of educating and relating, and also in communicating with them. And I think that you can get that. You can. The last thing you want to do is have your child have double lives, right? Meaning they go to school and they have one face, and they come home and they have a different face. You want to be able to have that child be consistent in their lifestyle, so that when they grow up to be a human being, when they leave the house, when they grow up to be a mature adult, they don't have this conflict of character, right? They don't. And I think that's the biggest thing I would advise. Make sure that you spend the time with them, you be the example, and you make them comfortable in their own skin. I think that's probably the best thing I could advise you on. All right. I'm going to go ahead, and I got another guest here, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to them. Jazakallah khair for calling in Tupac. Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh. All right. We've got the last one here before I'm going to wrap this one up. We're hitting about an hour here, so I'm going to bring on Shavez. Let me see here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shavez, welcome to the live stream.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear, brother. How can I help you?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah, bro. I'm
Hmm.
just kind of curious. It's not really off topic. You kind of mentioned this before, but could you maybe compare what your experience was like growing up, as a kid, as a Muslim when you were younger? Because like, what compared to now? Because like, I know for me, right? Like, I'm not that old. I'm in my 20s, but like, I'm sure like how being a Muslim in the 2000s, right, is very different than being a Muslim now in terms of like mindset, the positions that the community might have held, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just curious what it was like for you, growing
Okay,
up.
yeah, good question. So I think, and by the way, some of the guys in the text here, who are with me, Maliki, Click, by the way, salam alaikum, and Asadullah, and Sim, and Mahin, and you guys, and even Fahad, you guys can comment because I think it's a collective experience, right? It's not just a one person's view. You know what I mean? So I think what I'm going to say is that I would divide it in two ways. There was a pre 9/11 Muslim America, and there's a post 9/11 Muslim America, right? And if you happen to grow up in the post 9/11 Muslim America, like you missed out on the good old days. Like it was just like when everything was, no one really bothered you, it was just no problem at all. And after 9/11, it completely changed the exposure you got as a Muslim. But is that negative? In some ways, yes, but in some ways it's positive because some people are now taking the time to study Islam and become more engaging towards you, and that helps you grow as a Muslim and cement your identity in America. But as far as me growing up, I mean, I grew up typical. I mean, we went to a public school system early on, and I grew up like I've mentioned in the podcast many times. I grew up being kind of an outcast because I was in a predominantly all Italian area with a few other minorities, and I was the minority kid. And I grew up fighting. I mean, it just was my thing, and because I just had to, right? It was all we knew, and it wasn't even really about Islam at that point. It was just more about being different. And then after a while, we had the first Muslim school open up, and that's where me and Sim actually got to know each other. And I think that kind of changed a mindset for me because what it did was it gave me the strong sense of identity. I know it's very weird to say, but growing up in a Muslim school, like it went to a point where, and I know we talked bad about this for a moment, but understand this point. I'm going to explain to you, and it might sound off, but it was just the way it was. But I'll explain it to you and hopefully try to pull it into some context. When I went to a place that had no Muslims to a school that had entirely Muslims, there was no other non-Muslim. It got to a point where anytime we see a non-Muslim on the property, we would yell like out the window, "Kafir," and people would like run out and chase them off the lawn. Like it got to that point, and I think that was a response to feeling like a minority, and now finally feeling like, oh my God, I'm the majority here in this little area. I'm the majority, and I think that feeling that confidence is what led us to be more confident when we left the school and went back to a public school system. Now, I'm not saying that we should go out and attack non-Muslims and just us versus them, but I think I appreciate that confidence that we got. That hey, I'm comfortable being a Muslim. It's totally fine being a Muslim. I'm glad we do these things. Right? There are other people like me, and we have a place here. Like that kind of mentality that I got from going to being around Muslims and being with other Muslims like me is irreplaceable. I mean, I was exposed to a lot of other things too at the school, that it wasn't the best school, meaning that it was just started out. I mean, now, alhamdulillah, it's one of the top schools in the country, but in the state. But at that time, it was new. They didn't have really teachers. I mean, of course, it was all, problems with it. But at the same time, the thing was that it boosted my morale, and I think that is what Muslims need today. The kids growing up. They need to be around like-minded Muslims that are doing positive things, that are going to make them feel like, hey, you can get anywhere being a Muslim. You can do things. You can be positive. Don't let somebody else try to. Don't feel insecure about being a Muslim. You are just as American as anybody else. You are just as British as anybody else, whatever it may be. And you have your identity, and it's perfectly fine. And I think like once you come to terms with that, and you come to terms with the fact that you are who you are, and Allah has honored you as a Muslim, Allah has blessed you with being a Muslim, you have that confidence and that attitude, life will be a lot easier for you. And I think confronting the issues will also be easier for you. And I think that's for me what was the turning point for me. And that was what always let me retain my Islam with me, no matter what phase I went through, whether it was doing things a jahil way, doing haram. I always had that sense that I'm a Muslim, I should be doing better. I'm a Muslim, I should be doing better. There's something more expected of me. And that always kind of grounded me. That is what made me someone that, that said, that would come back to the religion, that would make tawbah, that would feel guilty about these things. Unfortunately, many people today, they live a life of sin, and they do sins, and they don't feel any remorse. And that's the problem, right? Like not feeling guilt is when, oh my God, like that means like there's really something wrong with your iman if you're not feeling guilt over your sins. And I think that strong sense of identity and culture and belonging and realizing that we are Muslims helped me stay grounded. And that led me to different paths, or different paths that I went on that would be, that ultimately led to who I am today, as far as being among the Sufiya, the Salafiyya, some of the extreme guys, and even among the modernists. And I mean, so many different things, right? But it led me to be who I am today. But I think, like I said, it is a complicated question. And it all depends. It's a case-by-case basis. But I think the number one thing is remember that Allah has chosen you to be a Muslim. And there's a reason for that. And don't take advantage of that, because Allah can take that away from you. So cherish that. And if you truly understand that, and if you truly, if that resonates with you, then it will be a guiding star, so to speak, for your actions, and for you. It'll be a moral compass for you. It'll be a sort of a guide for you. And I think that's what helped me growing up as a Muslim in America. I hope that answered you, Shabazz.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Jazakallah khair.
All right, well, yeah, I think we're gonna try to wrap it down here. So I appreciate you calling in. I'm gonna go ahead and take you off here the live stream, so make room for anybody else. But Jazakallah khair for calling in, Shabazz. All right. All right. So just a few more comments here before I wrap this up. Let me see here. Nicki Minaj did this to Mufti Menk on Twitter. I don't know what that means, but okay. I hope, may Allah protect Mufti Menk. I love that brother because he's always so kind. He's smiling and he's never harsh. So may Allah protect him. I'm surprised you had so many fights. Us in Orlando, it was Southern hospitality. We got, no, not for us. Not growing up for me where we are. Chicago, by the way, is is an unofficially segregated city. If you don't know Chicago, it is unofficially segregated. And that means that everyone has their own turf and territories. But yeah, that's just the way it was. Yes, good advice, Jay Perez. Wa alaikum assalam, Millat Ibrahim Hanifa. Welcome. I love that name, by the way. Okay, guys, I think this has been long enough. It's been an hour on here, and I think we're gonna wrap this up. I don't want to make it too long. I appreciate all you guys tuning in. Make sure you have your questions and tweets, or comments or suggestions. If you couldn't get them in on here, make sure that you tweet them at me, or you can always email me at themuzzybuzzshow@gmail.com. Remember, I do a show every Sunday at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern time. I also have a Patreon. Now, I am on Patreon. Make sure you guys check that out. I will be posting exclusive content on Patreon. There are different tiers there. Make sure you head over to www.patreon.com/muzzybuzz and keep an eye out. I have a bunch of videos coming out this next week or two on some refutations on apostate prophet, introverted smiles, Al-Fadi, Jay Smith. So I have all the stuff I've been working on just for you guys. So make sure you stay tuned. And that's why you need to hit the bell on the channel. So therefore you get notified every time I make new videos and put out new content. So if there's nothing else, I appreciate you as always. And we will talk next time. So inshallah, we'll see you then. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.